Hey, it's your buddy Steve, doing a little musing from our Ozark mountaintop here in Taney County near Branson, Missouri. Branson, see there? The title of this short video that I will post to YouTube is It's More Fun in Philippines. I have a buddy that's currently there for a extended vacation, living in Philippines part-time. He's a West Coast guy. The nurse like I am, musician like I am, car guy like I am. I've not met the guy face to face, but we have a lot in common. Um, he had been married to a Filipina, just as I currently am. But he's there now in the biggest island, Mindanao, and so he's giving me the play-by-play when things interesting. Tells me the stories of the frustrations and the interesting things that are happening to him. Now I've been there 6 times. This is his first time, so he's learning a lot of things the hard way, and some things he kind of knew, but now he really knows because he's been there. Uh, I will tell you the stories that he shared with me just today because I think they're worth mentioning. You know, like I mentioned, he's a car guy. Of course, he knows I in my lifetime have been a car guy. Still at heart, just not very many cars and stuff nowadays. But he bought a vehicle over there, and the first thing that happened is that a motorcycle hit him. Now, on this motorcycle, a younger driver, young adult driver, and on the back was the driver's Lola, which is grandmother. And the driver, I guess, was okay, but the Lola hit her head. Nobody's wearing a helmet, and everybody's dressed like it's tropical, because it's tropical there all the time. And so she had a lot of road rash and hit her head pretty hard. And because healthcare there is pretty affordable, and he's a decent guy. Like I said, he's one of the things he's done with his life is be a nurse, like with me, and like I have been before I retired. And he wanted to make sure this little Lola was okay, so he took her to the ER, and he paid for her to have a CAT scan, and paid for her emergency department evaluation, and for her road rash and things to be, cleaned up, and made sure she was okay. And by the way, this was not his fault. They came out of nowhere and just smashed into his car. So anyway, she's got some damage on the van. On his little SUV, not a van, it's an SUV. And he went to a body shop last week or so and got an estimate to have it fixed. Many things there are much more affordable than here in the United States. He could have that dent taken out and the whole SUV repainted for $700 or so. And he said, man, that's a good deal. He has the hard time, buying the materials and paint materials for that here in this country. So he's going to go ahead and do it. And then he got thinking, being a car guy, let's make things interesting. Let's do a custom job, make it two-tone and kind of a silver and blue. He had something, I'm sure, envisioned in his mind as to what the final product would be, for just $200-300 more. So he was going to do that, and then he learned, get this, that it's illegal. It's a federal offense to change the color of your automobile in Philippines. Now, I've been relatively familiar with that country for over 16, 17 years since I first started to travel there. So I've been there a bunch of times. Of course, I got my the family I married into over there. I've met some other people that live there, and other Americans that go back and forth, other Americans that live there. I like to think that I'm pretty familiar, really, with the country, but I didn't know that it is illegal, a federal offense, to change the color of your automobile. How about that? So I learned that tonight. So that's one It's More Fun in the Philippines story to share from my buddy that lives, when he's not in the Philippines, on the West Coast. More musing from the mountains, though. He just told me this afternoon about going to what they call the wet market. You get some pretty good deals there on your groceries and things at the wet market. It's not, in other words, a grocery store like we're used to seeing here in the United States. It's not a mall, and they have both those in Philippines. But go to the wet market, that's where the locals shop. The prices are much cheaper there. And you got to be careful sometimes when you're buying if they're name brand, because they may not be. They could be counterfeit, but I don't think that's really what he was looking for. But bottom line is, the story is, he saw where the people were parked there by the wet market, kind of parallel parked, not parallel parked, diagonally parked right in front there. So he found an open spot and he parked. He went on in and he bought what he wanted to buy. And I might add, typically when you go to a wet market, you try and have someone from the Philippines with you. Otherwise, you'll be paying too much. They call it the skin tax, basically, where they double the price of everything because you're not a local, because you're not Filipino. So anyway, he did his business, and he saw the police were there when he parked the car. He didn't think anything about it. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And he comes out, and there's a boot thing on his tire. He's looking around. What in the heck? Why, and these other cars are still parked there. No one's got a boot on their tire but him. But they saw who was driving that vehicle. He was the rich American kind of thing, or the foreigner, regardless if he was from Australia or, Germany or wherever. He was the guy they figured they could extort some money from. So he finally finds the police officer. Or maybe the police officer just finished. So when he talked to the police officer that arranged to have it put on, and he says, "Hey, why do I have this on my car? Because look at all these cars parked here." And the officer explained, "Well, this is a no parking zone." And sure enough, over there behind a tree or another car hidden was a sign that says no parking. It didn't change the fact that his was the only vehicle that had the tire boot put on his vehicle. And he says, "Why am I the only one?" And they said, all the other cars had someone sitting behind the steering wheel, and they could have moved if their move was requested. But you left yours unattended, so we put a boot on yours, and now you're going to have to pay 1,300 pesos. Now, to give you some perspective, if you're in the United States, right now it's around 57 to 58 exchange rate, 57 to 58 pesos for $1 American. So 1,300 is not a whole lot of money, but it's an aggravation. So he goes to pay the policeman, which you ought to really, you'd think you'd be able to do in certain countries, and the policeman wouldn't take his money. No, you have to go up. This is Sunday morning. This was Sunday morning. You have to go up to City Hall and pay that. Well, it's Sunday, he said. There's not going to be anyone there. Oh, no, there's someone there. There's someone there that can help you. And you couldn't drive up there, so he had to get a taxi or a tricycle. They use motorcycles with sidecars. They're called tricycles, kind of pedicabs, only with a motor. They're in Philippines. He went up there, and this happened at 7:30 in the morning. So he's leaving the wet market about 8. He's got his merchandise there. He can put it in the car, but he can't drive the car. And now he's got a ride, and he's paying the guy to take him up there to the City Hall place where he can pay us $1,300 Filipino pesos. Sorry, I leaned against my keys here, making the alarm go off on the car. But anyway, so he gets there, and sure enough, they are open on Sunday, but not till 10 a.m. So he has to sit outside. In the meantime, of course, the Philippines being much closer to the equator, it's getting very, very hot when they open at 10 a.m. So he goes in, and he has to submit his paperwork, including his. He had to give up his driver's license to them. They took his driver's license and some other necessary papers, and then they said, "No, you don't pay us. You have to go over to the wet market and pay them. They give you a receipt, and then you bring back to City Hall." He said, "You've got to be kidding me." So he does. He takes his little taxi or his pedicab, whatever it was, and he goes back to the wet market, and he figures out who he has to pay the 1,300 pesos to, and then he takes the receipt, and he goes back to the city hall, and they say, well, thank you very much. He says, well, can I have my license and paperwork back? I said, no, that money got the boot off your car. By the way, they got the boot off the car. But now you have to pay your ticket. He said, that wasn't the ticket? No, you have to pay another 1,000 pesos ticket. Now, of course, I don't know if that includes court cost or not. There may be more on top of that. But they told him you have to pay another 1,000 pesos for a ticket. Okay, well, I'll pay you that then. Oh, no, you have to wait and pay that tomorrow. You have to come back here on Monday, because the people that take that 1,000 peso fine for your parking ticket, yeah, they're not here on Sunday. So in the meantime, they kept his license, they kept his other paperwork that they demanded from him, so he wouldn't escape, on an airplane and go escape the Philippines, abandon his car. But he did get the boot off his car, and then he drives home, and then he has to go back, and he has to pay his fine and probably court costs, and who knows whatever else that they'll come up with. And lucky him. If it weren't so bizarre, it'd be absolutely funny. And it is funny for me. It's not funny for him. So it's more fun in the Philippines. I'm glad it was him, not me. But if you're a foreigner in that country, it's a wonderful country. That's why so many people are moving there. They have had such a boom of foreigners, not just from the United States, but also Australia and other places. They are a lot of what they call expats living there from their respective countries. And the reason there's an explosion of that is because it's so much cheaper to live there, and it's a beautiful country, and the people for the most part are nice. It's just that they do things differently in that country than they do in our home country, especially the United States. So, okay, I'm on this phone here in the backyard here of the mountain. I guess that's the end of my musings from this particular mountain. Again, this is about it being more fun in the Philippines. I keep getting a phone call. You probably saw me reset my telephone as I recorded this. But thank you for watching, and take care.